Hey Mark, finally getting this video off to you. Um, Wanted to reinforce what we were talking about in terms of how you really are starting to make some changes that you can see out on the hill, especially with that trying to move forward with your ankle at the start of the turns. It's not always consistently there, and it could certainly be more continuous throughout your turns, which we'll talk about. But I just wanted to kind of show you the side-by-side image with you and Michaela Schifrin on the left and say, at that point, everything looks like the pieces are there. If we were really just about finishing up edging our skis and getting ready to end that turn and release everything and move into the turn, things would be looking good. So from that point of view, a lot of nice stuff there. The issue will be with the fact that this is not near the end of the turn. So you'll actually continue onward here, and you'll be making a much longer turn beyond this point. So what we want to do is watch what's going to happen. Really here at the ankle will start to give up some of that flex that is in it right now, and you can see it kind of moving back, and the other thing that you'll notice is that there's quite a bit of bend in the knee right here, and so the overall effect is that as this turn continues in, you're kind of moving backwards and inside the turn rather than continuing to take the body and moving it over the turn forces here. So just kind of keep that in mind, and then we will visually look at Michaela over here on the left, and as we back her up, just pay attention to the flexing here at the ankle, and what you'll notice is that even with that stiff slalom race boot, you'll notice as that knee goes forward that ankle is flexed so hard that the angle gets very acute at this point. So that's helping to keep everything moving forward over those turn forces that are trying to push us backwards. And so the idea is we start flexing the ankle and we try to do it in a continuous and progressive manner so that we can keep everything up here moving over the forces which are trying to push us backwards. So that's just that flexing, and of course the upper body will be tipping to the outside of the turn, especially as she gets down closer and closer to the gate. So that's that flex the ankle and tip, and if we can keep the timing on that very good so that it all continues moving over the turn forces, because the forces are building, and so we want to keep moving forward and to the outside of the turn to move over those forces. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at one of your other runs here. And we will get over to, yes, that one here. And we'll just zip you down to a spot where we can kind of see more right across from the camera angle what's going on there. So coming into this one, we will notice that you do look like you've got quite a bit of forward movement here going on. You can almost, not a great angle, but you can kind of see that that's happening at the level of your ankle over here. And the other thing that we'll notice though is that there's quite a bit of flex forward, so it's almost as if you're trying to use a combination of flexing forward with the waist and trying to move forward at the ankle initially. Now the issue will be as you start watching the turn developing here, you'll notice that we don't see that nice progressive flexing going on. It's like it's in your mind and you move forward at the waist and the ankle initially, but then instead of continuing to come forward with it, it almost is gone by this point in time. So again, you're still trying to work it hard in your mind. You know forward is where you want to go. We just need to try to get some of the waist and move it down there towards the ankle. And then you're also, of course, driving pretty hard here to drop the knee back. So the overall effect will be the body going more in the wrong direction rather than over the forces of the turn that are building. So that's a fairly good visual there as far as what's going on. I think after you come in and look at this next turn here, as you come into it, you'll be able to see a little different view of how much the knee will come into play. If we look at that and then not really seeing that nice progressive action going on at the ankle. In fact, you can almost just see how the body's going to start moving away from the turn rather than over the turn. Back, back, back. See where things are going there. And now from this angle, you'll be able to notice that as you're going through this turn, something a little bit different just happened here. And we'll go back up and look at it in an earlier turn. But when you're coming into this turn to the left, you're going to see how, watch the rotation of the upper body into the direction of the turn. So to your left, you're going to make this left-hand turn, and when you stand on that ski, all of a sudden, can you see it in there, the turning of the upper body in the direction of the turn? There you can see it, and right in there you'll see it even more. And you pick up some divergence of the skis right in there. So again, if you had consistently been applying, look at how the ankle is really not going to do anything. In fact, it's almost bending backwards at this point. So again, that's a clear focus point for you. If we come way back up here, pretty good movement on the left footer. You've got some nice angles going on here, but this is almost like your maximum amount right there. And so before you're even done edging the skis, this angle is actually getting reduced rather than increased, which just means that, again, you're moving your center of mass in the direction away from the turn rather than over the turn. So that's a timing thing. You want to make sure that that keeps moving and going right through to the end of the turn so that your maximum angle would be right there. Now, we're going to take a look at this start of this right footer, which is a turn to the left. And you'll notice if you pay attention to right what's going to happen in here at the hip region. And you can almost watch what's going to happen with the leg once you start extending it. You'll see that there's a real strong turning. You see how this hip is going to start trying to do a turn thing here. And you can almost see it happening right there. The first move is turn, turn, turn with the hip. Can you see that hip turning, 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 turning? And you'll really notice that once you can start to see more of the leg here too, if you watch what's going to happen above the knee here with your leg. Can you see right in here how when that hip starts turning, you're just really turning hard with that leg right in there. Especially, can you see that right there, that right there? And so you're throwing the hip forward. And you can see really how far the hip has moved forward in the direction of the turn right there. Let's go back, make sure you can see it. So its hip is turning, 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 and you can see that in the leg and the position with the hip. You can see it right in there. Okay, and so now it's going to be very, very hard to be driving that hip, starting to be moving that hip back and inside because it's forward, forward, forward. And so that's going to make that process of trying to move the hip inside so the upper body can start moving over this way. It's going to make that difficult because even though we don't see a lot of rotation with the shoulders here, the hip is so strong that right in there you can see it in the hip that it's going to be very, very, very tough to start dropping that hip inside and letting that upper body move over it to the outside of the turn here. And that happens on some of these right footers, so you'll want to be kind of especially aware that that dominant right hand side, you don't let the upper body, in this case the hips more than the shoulders, down below it was more the shoulders, but make sure that your consciousness and your attention is focused on feeling the feet and the bottom of the feet and what's going on there. You can see the divergence that that is causing in your skis right there. But you want to make sure that you're feeling the feet and really working from the ground up to make the front of the ski start doing the work for you coming into that turn and through that turn. And again, we'll see the position here as you start, even before the finishing of the turn, you're kind of maxed out here and slightly starting to want to move back here at this point. So anyway, the main thing is work from the ground up, and then it's a timing issue. So get on that foot. There you can see again here how this hip, can see the hip starting to turn there already. Look at the leg and the position of the hip right in here. So think, let things happen from the ground up. Get on the front of that ski and start flexing the ankle slow enough but continuous enough so that it's going to last all the way through. Look at the divergence in that particular turn there. And so you'll just start flexing it continuously forward, 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 forward. And you can see how it's moved inside. You've got it on edge, but it's not coming forward anymore. It's been replaced up here at the waist. So ground up, flex the ankle, and slow it down so that it starts, and then you can count 1, 2, 3 as you go through the turn. 1, 2, 3. Again, I would do that more in a uphill Christie type situation first, loosening up the boots, building in that sensation and that awareness of 1, 2, 3, not letting that go with either the hips turning or bending forward at the waist. We work from the ground on up. Hopefully that makes sense, and if not, talk to me about it and we'll play with it on the hill, Mark. Maybe we get tomorrow night or the weekend. Bye now.